Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another UKPW Insider. I am, of course, the mouthpiece from the Southeast, Kieran Cross, and quite simply the mouthpiece, whichever which, doesn't matter as long as you get it right. And today, we're bringing you a first for UKPW, our first signing for our brand new upcoming women's division. We have got the Queen of Planet Thanet. We've got Wendie Louise. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. So, well, for those who obviously don't know that much about you, because unlike some of your female competitors you'll be locking up with when UKPW restart, you've actually yet to make your professional wrestling debut, which is exciting, obviously, for yourself, to be able to push yourself to the limits just to see how great you are. But you're also going to be learning from those you'll be in the ring with. So it's an unusual that we're going to have someone who's actually going to be making their in-ring debut when the women's division start. I don't actually think we've got any other women on the roster so far that's been announced that's in that same situation. How does that make you feel?
Quite exciting, actually, because it means I'm going to share something with the women's division. My wrestling time is going to be the same as theirs, so it's going to be quite nice that the division will start and I will start at the same time.
Is there anyone that's been signed that you've already you've checked out a little bit of their history, seen footage of what they're about, just sort of get a scope on the competition so you know what to expect when you finally step in the ring with them?
There's a few of them I've been watching. I like Clementine.
Yeah.
She's fun. But I don't know if fun's going to be what's needed in this division.
Oh, okay.
And I know Bunny from Burning Hearts. So I know her quite well. So I'm quite looking forward to seeing what she's going to bring to the table. And, yeah, I know a few of them. I should have come with a little list of the names because I know their faces. But the names.
Well, you're going to become very familiar with their names and faces up close and personal when things get going. And there's some tough competition in there. I know we've got women like Kimmy Akiss, who's a former women's champion at BECW from back in those days. As well, and as you said, Clementine she's fantastic. She's very experienced. Bunny Mallow as well, and there's even more unknown names that are yet to be announced. So it's quite exciting. I mean, for someone in my position, I've been hoping to work for a promotion with the women's division for quite a while, and the fact that now UKPW are taking that step is very, very exciting. I'm glad the unveiling amongst everyone on the roster has now been done, because I was hoping this would be done before I get to talk to you. The brand new, the very first ever UKPW Women's Championship title belt was unveiled to the roster today after the owners teasing you guys. I've seen it a few days ago. What do you make of it? I mean, it's
stunning. It is absolutely beautiful. And it is going to be worth fighting for, definitely. It's gonna make everything we've all worked for mean so much more. To have a belt that looks that good to aim for. Yeah,
it is. It's absolute. It's a thing of beauty, and a lot of criticism amongst wrestling fans all over the world these days are that a lot of championship belts across major promotions don't look prestigious. They look too gimmicky. They're not, they don't represent like what the legacy of their companies, etc., represent, and it really is something quite to behold when you see it. It's absolutely stunning, as you said. Obviously, as we've touched on, you've yet to make your in-ring debut, so you've not actually wrestled professionally yet, but you've had plenty of training. Let's just touch a little bit into your experience in training. Where have you trained?
Well, I started off at SCPW, and I was there for 2.5 years, and that's based in Folkestone. They're a nice bunch, and to have got my fundamentals and my groundwork down with them really gave me the confidence to then go away and start meeting other people and training elsewhere. So from there I went up to London, and I went to a school in London with a couple of the boys from SCPW. Yeah. And then I was brave and started training myself, like going away to the different schools on my own. So I've trained at Eve now a few times, and with Burning Hearts, as I mentioned earlier.
So obviously going to those different various places to train, you've obviously seen some names across the British indie circuit have obviously trained at some of those same places. So you've already had a little bit of a, witnessing what they can do as well. So obviously you've learned from seeing what they can achieve, and obviously surely you've taken a lot of that on board. So let's go back to the start. So what was your first experience of wrestling? Like what made you a fan? What was your first wrestling memory? What captivated you? What got you hooked on wrestling?
I've actually got a little brother. He's 8 years younger than me, and it was actually he started watching wrestling. Okay. And he started walking around with this stupid necklace on and his silly cap on, and he was being John Cena.
Oh no.
Yeah. And he was so funny. He does like impersonations really well. So I was thinking to myself, what is he on about? So I started watching it with him, and it's been something that we've shared ever since. So it's been quite nice.
Yeah, that is cool. That is really cool. But was there anything in particular that you saw, any particular wrestler or wrestlers that you saw when you started watching it with your brother, that immediately they had you hooked on them, that made you think, I want to do this?
No, to be honest with you, I watched it purely for entertainment. It wasn't until about 5 years ago it actually clicked that I could possibly do it. I joined Slimming World, and I actually lost I'd lost 5.5 stone, and I was like, what's the challenge I can do next? And then I was watching NXT, and I was like, actually, they keep mentioning this as the developmental brand, so surely they've all come from somewhere. So I got on Google and had a little look around and found SCPW, and I was like, do you know what? I'm going to do this. This is my next challenge. I'm having this.
That's fantastic. I'm a big mark for NXT. I absolutely love NXT. For me, that's the show under the WWE banner. That's proper wrestling. It's not so much just the entertainment; it's the proper wrestling. I don't know. It's like I watched NXT last night, and they had Edge on there. Just having words with Pete Dunne and Finn Balor, for example, and there was something he said which was so true, and to hear that from a WWE legend, which was I've been over, I think it was something along the lines of, I've been to Raw and SmackDown where it's all about the E, but here in NXT it's about the second W, the wrestling, and that he was so spot on. And like you said, you watched it for the pure entertainment, and now you've trained, and I mean it must be really difficult knowing that the only thing keeping you from your in-ring debut and living your dream is this situation with lockdown and COVID. We've got all the guys and girls who have competed prior to COVID, all us doing our jobs for promotions, and then we've got this just separate. That must really, really frustrate you, because you must be raring to go, and I'm sure you really, really can't wait.
Yeah, it is a bit like just standing in starting blocks at the beginning of a race. Just waiting now for that whistle to blow or whatever to happen to be able to get going. But it's been a long time, and I don't mind waiting a little bit longer as long as it's done safe when it's happening.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Safety first. That's what UKPW is all about. So, who is now you've been a fan of wrestling for a number of years now. Do you have anyone in particular that you look up to? Not just necessarily someone from television, but someone maybe that you've trained with, that you've seen up close indie shows. Is there anyone you look up to, like an idol, a hero of yours, someone that you look up to maybe more than others?
I very much enjoy Stone Cold.
Stone Cold Steve Austin, yeah. Yeah,
just his whole energy that he brings to everything he does is just amazing. You wouldn't argue with him. But when I watched him do the Tough Enough season where he had Eva Lise and them lot on it, and it was him, Lita, yeah. And was it Booker T that had that season?
I think so, yeah. Because it was also, they had people like Mandy Rose and Velveteen Dream and that were all on Tough Enough on one of those seasons, and that's amazing to see how they didn't make it in Tough Enough, but to see where they are now. I always preferred the original Tough Enough. I'm old enough to remember in like sort of 2000, 2001 or whenever it was, the original Tough Enough, which was a proper camp almost, and it was run by Taz, and you'd see like Taz bursting in the men's bedrooms at like 5 a.m. Like a drill sergeant, getting them up and things like that. And anyone who knows me, I'm a big fan of Triple H. I love Triple H, his career and everything like that. And there was one in particular, which is where they're all sitting ringside in a warehouse, which is where a lot of them used to train. And then all of a sudden Triple H comes in, and he doesn't say a lot. He just gets them all in the ring, and he tells them all to take bumps. And then you see him demonstrate him throwing himself to the mat with a huge force, and then just literally get straight back to his feet. And it was so much intensity. Now, obviously, everyone starts somewhere. When you started your very first training session and you took your first bumps, how did that feel when that sort of, because a lot of people say you don't realise until you take your first bumps just how, uncomfortable slamming on the mat really is, because of all that misperception of it that you get before you do it. How was that for you?
It definitely took some getting used to. But I didn't get in the ring to take my first bumps till the end of my first session. So I'd seen the people who'd been there a bit longer and more experienced throwing themselves around in the ring the whole session. So I was kind of under this misguided conception thing that it wasn't going to be that bad. So I got spoken through it. And went and done it, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's not fun. That really isn't fun." But it's one of them things. The more times you do it, the more your body does get used to it.
Yeah.
I actually quite miss it now. It's like running ropes. I can't wait to run ropes again. I actually can't wait.
Well, see, that's what I love. It does show the passion that you have, and when you're missing something so simple as running the rope. I mean, I say it's simple, it's not simple, but something like that, just out of all the sort of things, you're missing something such as running the ropes. And that, I think, shows quite a bit about the passion that you have, that burning desire that you have. I remember when I first trained, before I was told I couldn't wrestle because of my health, but we learned our first bumps on crash mats with just a solid floor underneath. And yeah, that's not pleasant. Is that where you first learned to take your bumps, or before you started doing them in the ring?
Well, during the first part of the session, I had like the big blue crash mats.
Yes.
I was doing front bumps and things on them. And it was at the end of the session we got in the ring and done a proper one. But yeah. Yeah,
the difference is quite huge in many ways. But I suppose it's nice to break you in to go for the crash mats where it's harder to take the bumps, to then do it in the ring where it's still unforgiving on your body, but it's a different experience.
Yeah.
So you obviously you're obviously new to are you how familiar are you with UKPW? Because I know that you haven't wrestled, and I know that I know we've spoken briefly in the past about people who have been to UKPW, so obviously you must have kind of on the side been like, by the way, I'm signing for UKPW. What are they like?
I've if I'm honest, haven't actually watched any UKPW matches or anything yet. That is still in my little homework list to do.
That's why we have a YouTube channel.
I know, right? I'm going to go there. It's more homework. But I've watched a lot of the talent who've been announced already, and that I know who are going to be at UKPW. I've seen them at IPW shows I've gone to, and other shows I've been at. So I kind of know a bit about the people who I'm going to be meeting when we can finally all meet each other. Yeah.
No, that's good, because we got the thing is as well, what as we've mentioned in other episodes of Insider, and it's something that's been put out there. Obviously, under new management, UKPW is going to evolve. Obviously, the production has been invested in. It's going to be more of an experience than just a wrestling show. So it's not going to be a case of fans pay their money, they're just going to go sit a couple of hours, watch a bit of wrestling, and then just go home. There's going to be this whole experience where the fans can interact more, they're getting more for their money and things like that. So the UKPW that is on YouTube, which is more basic compared to what it was, is going to be different. So it's, you know, for someone who's fresh to the company like you are, to watch, you know, basically educate yourself on some of the people in UKPW while watching the footage. When you step into that first brand new show, and then, you know, there's a brand new entrance way, we've got a brand new ring, and you know, the lighting's done and the cameras are up and running and things like that. You know, I'm quite excited but nervous myself about how different it's going to be. But surely for those who are going to have the focus on them, i.e. yourselves, the talent on the roster, you know, is it, you know, obviously we know you're excited, but is there that little part of you in the back of your mind where you're kind of like, oh God, you know, because you are inexperienced, and you know, you're going to learn as you go and everything like that, and you want to show everyone your ability. But is that little part of you that's like kind of like, oh, you know, I'm really nervous about this at the same time. You know, is there that, or is it just more of a case of I want to get in there, kick ass, you know, and I want that belt?
There is obviously that little bit of nervousness about it, but because I've been to so many different training schools and I've helped to 5 different company shows, I sort of know what to expect going to a different company and somewhere where I'm not familiar with. So I'm not nervous about that side of things. But yeah, for me, it's more the excitement. I'm really excited for this women's division.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I love the enthusiasm. I mean, we could tell you're ready to go, and that is really refreshing to have someone who's not had their first professional match there. You know, obviously, I think seeing that championship belt is obviously going to get a lot of the women now kind of like, oh, you know, I have to be the first holder of that title, and yet that's a discussion which is going on internally. How we're going to decide the first women's champion for UKPW, whether it'll be a battle royal, a multi-night tournament which will carry on over a few shows, whether it be a, you know, like a 6-woman or whatever elimination match or something like that. Well, what would your personal preference be if they turn around and said to you, Wendie Louise, you know, we're going to allow you to pick how you think this should be booked? What would your decision be?
The little bit of nervousness in me would definitely rather the Rumble. Because that way I could get out there, do my first match, get it out of the way without having the people's eyes on me. But the more excited part of me, I quite like the idea of the tournament now. I've had time to think about it.
I like the idea of the tournament.
Bit more time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an advocate for Rumbles. I mean, I love Rumbles. I love unpredictable matches. You know, multi people thrown in there. Any outcome could be possible. But like you said, the tournament is a great idea because it gives each match is focused on the two in the ring. And also, and as you said about the nervousness side of you, is kind of like, you know, people don't have to focus necessarily on you. But at the same time, number one, you're going to want to be noticed.
Mm.
And number two, eyes are going to be on you anyway as the more inexperienced one of the bunch. But you've got that opportunity to go straight in there and wrestle like you've been doing it for years. And as you said, you know, you've been training long and hard enough. So we know you can do that. It's just now because you've not had the match, there's no footage to back it up. So it's now kind of like, oh, you know, here comes the Queen of the Planet, Thanet. I'm now showing you exactly what I can do, new or not. You know, this is how good I am. Yeah. So, you know, and that is exciting. And that's exciting for me who gets to sit there and call the action, albeit with that idiot Ross Griffith sitting beside me. Ugh, hate him. But, you know, it's great exciting time. So, bearing all that in mind, let's say, whichever way this goes, Wendie Louise is the inaugural UKPW Women's Champion, right? How does that sound to you?
It would sound like a real justification of all the hard work I've put in over these years. It would sound good, but that belt would also look good.
Oh,
this beautiful
tiara! Oh, she's done it. The tiara's out.
I know, right? It's got red sparkles on it.
It matches the belt.
I know, it's perfect.
It's almost fate. It's
I know.
almost fate.
Yeah.
That belt would look damn good with that tiara. Like, I can't argue with that.
Actually.
Yeah, keep it on. Let everyone know who you are. There you go. Queen of Planet Thanet. Look at that. Right there. Perfect. Fantastic.
Yes, beautiful.
Yeah, I can see that championship belt now. Can't be biased. I can see that championship belt now.
As soon as I saw the side plates, when you put the picture of the side plates, I was like, hold up. I already have the tiara that's needed for that belt.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love the fact you had the tiara on hand as well. That's just brilliant. That's one way to really sell yourself to the fans. I love that. That's brilliant. So oh, absolutely. So you now know what you're going to be challenging for. We know how beautiful it is. The fans will see it when the powers that be are ready to unveil it to the world. I can't wait for that day personally. So is there anyone who's not yet been signed by UKPW that if you was able to go to management and say, I think you should bring her in, it could be more than one woman, I think they'll be a perfect addition to our roster. Anyone on the indie scenes, anyone that you might have trained with or seen up close to training that's not a part of UKPW, who would you choose?
Bobby Tyler.
Yeah. That's a good choice.
Yeah. I've obviously, as I said, I've went to quite a few IPW shows, and I watched her whole reign as never ever losing IPW Women's Champion. She's just the forever champion there now, which is quite cool. But I also watched Stardom.
Yeah.
So I've also seen her work in Japan, and I think she'd be an amazing addition. And I think if it comes up in a few weeks' time, I see a little face in one of the graphics, I think I'd actually probably cry.
Take note, Bobby Tyler. There we go. Right, have to have a word with the powers that be. No, I think that's a really good shout. She's fantastic. I have to agree with you. That's a brilliant name. Brilliant name to. She would be a fantastic addition to any roster. Why not at the best? Why not? So. Yeah. That's fantastic.
She works for it well. Whenever I see her in the ring, or I met her, I got to meet her. I was at a training seminar before an IPW show, and she came over and said hello, and it was just like it was so nice to just meet her and not have to queue up like a fan. It was nice, that little moment of feeling a bit like an equal.
Yeah, I like those intimate ones that you have as opposed to like arranged meet and greets and that. It's nice to just casually, get to just stand and have a bit of time with them and just talk to them and that in an unofficial capacity. I always find that a lot better as well.
But her experience, especially as I said, as she's been to Japan and she's wrestled for a while now, she'd be really good if we could get her.
Who knows? That would be exciting. I have to say that would be exciting, and I'm sure that the management of UKPW will take what you've just said under advisement, and you never know, could be a possibility. Could you imagine what that'd be like? Wendie Louise defending the UKPW Women's Championship against Bobby Tyler.
Oh, it'd be painful, I'm sure, but but
exciting at the same time.
Yeah, it'd be one of them little bucket list dream matches to tick off.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, you see it in WWE. You see people like AJ Lee and Bailey and that, and when they're all young with as fans with the wrestlers, and they've gone on to actually wrestle them, whether it be in a women's Royal Rumble or or another match. It's nothing's beyond the realms of possibility in professional wrestling. That's one of the other things I love about the business is you can never rule anything out, and that's what's so amazing by it. And I think that's absolutely perfect. So now, with all that in mind, do you have anything to say to the fans?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
As we've said, I've been training for ages. I know quite a few things. I'm pretty sure I'll have some moves that will be nice to see for everyone. But also, I know that I can withstand whatever they're going to throw at me. I'm not going to quit. I've never quit. I've trained for this long without quitting. I'm not going to give up now. I'm going to fight as hard as I need to. And I'm going to do what I can to make this division what it needs to be. It's going to be
the words. See, that's the thing. They're not the words of someone who's who's inexperienced compared to the others. You've spoken to that someone who is absolutely dead set on making that difference and making that impact, and that's what we love to see. We want all the women, when we eventually speak to all the women, to be saying the same sort of thing. I'm going to make sure that I make my impact on this women's division and build it up. And that's the thing. You've got that luxury in a sense of, and that privilege to be there at the women's division from the very beginning. You're going to be known as the UKPW Women's Original, which is pretty cool, considering the heights that UKPW will be aiming to go at. That's a pretty big deal to be able to say I was an original, and then eventually, if new up and coming women join the division, you'll no longer be fresh, you'll be experienced, and then you'll be wrestling women that have been in your exact position as you are now. And I think that's absolutely cool. It's like coming full circle.
Yeah, pass the crown down to the next generation. But
absolutely.
It's like whenever I quite often play a game. Let's look at old Shimmer photos and see who I can spot. But what's to say in 10, 15 years' time, people aren't looking at the pictures of the UKPW restart and seeing who they can spot. There's no saying in 10, 15 years' time where any of us are going to be. And that's what's exciting.
Yeah, I think it's a case of allowing, the next number of years, sort of 5 years or so, maybe even a bit longer, how long it takes to try and hopefully get UKPW to the heights where we have a TV deal, for example. We're that big. And, we've always got to start somewhere. UKPW has the legacy for a number of years. It's, we're now at a turning point where it's kind of like, okay, this is where UKPW has been. Yeah, it's change of management, but the management have been a part of the history of UKPW. So they get it. So the foundation's already laid. And the previous owner of UKPW is still a part of UKPW. So, it's going to be exciting for them to see how their baby, so to speak, their creation, takes that next step, and then it's a case of just building it up and up and up and up, and that will be down to women like yourselves, the other guys on the roster. It'll collectively as a family almost. It's down to us to put the bums in the seats, make the money for the company to the point where the investment goes into it and builds it up and up and up and up, and that's just incredible. There's no, as far as I'm concerned, there's no ceiling to where the company could end up going. So, the fact that you're going to be a part of that restart is, it's pretty cool. And I'm pretty certain that when you got the call to say, we're UKPW, we're interested in signing you for our brand new women's division, I'm sure it didn't take a lot of persuasion for you to say yes.
Well, no, I believe Alex actually got in touch with Burning Hearts, because we was at a training session one day, and Janie, the girl who she sort of runs it, but we're all in it together up there, which is nice. It's another big family thing.
Oh, that's good.
She said, "Oh, we've got this message from UKPW. They're looking to bring in a women's division. They'd like to see if we've got anyone who'd want to go down there." And straight away, I was like, "Yep, they're closer to home than you guys. I'll be there." Cycle there if I need to.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah,
it's perfect, and now you're going to get your opportunity to shine, which is great. So, the final question is a little bit of word association, right? Just I'm going to throw a word at you that's wrestling related, and you give me the first thing that comes to your head, okay? Greatest woman of all time, wrestler of all time.
I want to say AJ Lee, but I know that's a biased choice.
No, if that's your personal opinion, that's fine. It's whoever comes first. Okay, greatest male champion of all time.
Stone Cold.
Knew that was coming. Bobby Tyler.
What, for word association?
Yeah. What's the first thing that comes to your head when you hear those names? Bobby Tyler. What's the first thing that comes to head?
Like, not a UKPW, clearly, because it's going to be me, but champ.
She got them fighting words. Love it. UKPW Women's Championship.
Beautiful. I still can't get my head around how pretty it is.
It all just comes back to that. Everyone's in awe of it, and like literally, I'm like, we've even got some of the for some that don't know this, we've actually got some of the male guys on the roster wanting to wear dresses and compete for it because they think it's that stunning. Could be a barrel of laughs. I mean, I know CJ Gunner is one who's tried to throw his hat in the ring for the women's title. Suppose you wouldn't mind putting him out.
I can tidy up the division. It's fine.
See, I love the fighting words. See, you do. You sound ready to go. That's what I mean. We need to get COVID out of the way. Just get it done and that. But I'm, for one, so excited about the restart. I'm really excited to see you in action. I'm excited to see how all the other women are going to do. I can't wait to see who's going to finally be crowned the inaugural UKPW Women's Champion. It's just now a case of waiting. Hopefully not too much longer. And hopefully we're going to get it all out there, up and running, and fingers crossed it won't be too long now.
Yeah, cause it's a tough bunch actually, because I've just remembered we've got Ronnie Knox, haven't we? And she may be small, but she is mighty.
I wouldn't rule out any of the women. I think every single woman in the division, even including yourself, I think you've got your claim to be there. I think you've all got enough about you to know that there's a reason you've been signed to UKPW, and it's just a case of just having the opportunity now to just display exactly why. And whoever wins the title first, I don't think it's going to be, anything negative on those who are not crowned champion first. I think all of you are going to be legitimate, worthy potential holders of that title. And it's just a case of who's going to have the luck, who's just going to have that little bit extra there right from the start to be first in line to grab it. But as they say with all champions, there's going to be a huge target on their back. And, coming from a guy, I wouldn't want to be a woman in the women's division holding that title with that target on my back, knowing who's in there and who potentially could be coming in as well to come after me. No, thank you. I'm just going to sit behind my desk, or as the commentation station, as Alex likes to call it. I'm just going to be the other half of Ross and Cross and just leave it at that. I'll leave it all down to you guys. So, Wendy, thank you very much for joining us. It's been great to talk to you, to get to know you a bit. We're just as excited as you are. And, let's see if that tiara and that title belt are going to match around your waist.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You take care. Thank you.
You too.